Good evening, listeners and watchers of MASKast, fellow agents, and we apologize for our absence. We have been, I guess, forgetful is probably the right word for it. We've been mindful of other projects and absent-minded on Agents of Mask. Not so much on
Yes.
Facebook and the blog, but the MASKast themselves. And a few things have happened, so we are. It kind of dawned on us actually about what 2 or 3 weeks ago that it's been a while since we've actually done the MASKast. So let's get back to it.
Yeah, it's been several months, and we had, I think, placed a goal at doing one a month at some point, and I'm not sure what happened to that, but
We're
we
terrible.
really, yeah, we take some long months, I guess.
So, and
Yeah.
there's no defense. We've been, I guess, almost tunnel visioned with our rediscover the '80s entity, more notably the Memory Jogger podcast and Rankum. That we, like I said, we've kind of got tunnel visioned and just, man, we remember this and this and this. Let's do an episode about that on Memory Jogger. And then we did our movie on that. And then it just kind of, at least me, I sat back at work and I'm sitting there going, how long has it been since we did a MASKast? And to the bad point that I said to Jason, we probably should do a MASKast. We haven't done one for a while. Forgot how long that while really was. And I'm watching the episode and I'm going, I think I've seen this before. Have we already done this? And I asked him, I said, are we on Patchwork Caper? I think that's what it's called.
Puzzle.
Patchwork Puzzle. And he's like, yeah, that's what we're still waiting to do. Oh, okay. Then I already did the notes. So yeah, I guess we just got tunnel visioned on.
Forgot to do, forgot you did the notes. Yeah. Oh, that was probably my fault because I, truth be told, I think I've said before on the podcast that I used to do a lot of my notes and little articles and stuff while I was at work. And now my time at this new job that I've been to now almost 2 years has dwindled and dwindled and dwindled, and I don't have as much time to fool around. So that's and then when I get home at night, I'm just dead tired.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do anything but sit on the couch and watch Press Your Luck. So that's a whole other podcast. But anyway.
So let's catch you up to speed a little bit. We are focused on M.A.S.K. We'll talk about M.A.S.K. We're going to do some shameless plugs. At least I am. Most notably that we most recently completed the Memory Jogger, the movie video on YouTube. If you'll follow our entity or if you're part of that, Rediscover the '80s on YouTube and look for Memory Jogger, the movie. All it is us visually actually taking a tour of our home county and the hotspots that we relived during the podcast. So we talk about our hangout place. So we visited it. We talk about our school, our first jobs, our childhood homes, and so forth. And we just talk and show where all these places are. Even in the movie, I think we even said that it's more for us than it is really for you guys, the viewer. But if curiosity piques, you're welcome to go see it. We've been, like I said, we've been plugging away at the other entities. We discovered the '80s, but we want to dial back and get our masks on, as Jason usually calls it, and focus our spectrum beam on our task at hand.
There you go. Well put. Yeah. M.A.S.K. Obviously, we should be talking more about M.A.S.K. And I'm a little pissed off that we're not talking more about M.A.S.K. in the fact that we're waiting on movie announcements that have never come, other than that they were hired a director.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll touch a little bit on that tonight, and just a little bit of what's happened since the last time we talked, which has been a while. But yeah, it's time we need to focus in a little bit more. And I go through these like ups and downs, not really ups and downs, but more right to left. I'll veer right and be in Rediscover the 80s for a long time. And then I kind of dial back and I veer to the left, and we're back in the M.A.S.K for a while and doing articles and podcasts and stuff. So I like to swerve around on the road. I always sucked at pole position, and I just hit a billboard over here, and I got to drive it back in, and then drive it through the oil slick and hit a car on the left side. And
well, at least for you, it was in the virtual world of pole position. As for me, like we indicated a couple of times, I could go a whole podcast on all the fender benders and dings that I've done in real life. I might as well be one of the Duke boys and, jumping and banging out a car and getting another one.
True.
Unfortunately, it was never brand new, spanking new in the same identical car every episode. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this show rolling. We're going to be talking about Patchwork Puzzle, like Wyatt said, and we'll go through our Get Your Mask On section with all the little stuff we want to rant about, and then we'll tease you for the next one. It'll be MASKast 70. Holy cow. I haven't counted the total number, but I think we're getting close to 100 with all the chats and everything else we've done in between. So
yeah, we need to tally it up and do some kind of
yeah
episode. I don't know what you call them anymore.
Yeah, well, we can try to get some people on and do something fun. Bill and I have been scheming some behind the scenes, but we'll get to that a little bit in the show. So let's go ahead and get started. We appreciate everybody again, checking us out on YouTube and trying to give you the little bonus content like we do with Rediscover the 80s before the actual podcast recording as we go through this. But again, if you have not listened to the podcast, if you've only seen us on YouTube, go listen to the podcast, because I do put the clips from the show, and it makes it a lot smoother listen rather than watching us screw up and me edit out later. And you don't get all the sound effects and clips from the show when I do produce it. And it's fun. I really enjoy doing it. Obviously, we're up to 69 episodes, so I have to enjoy it, or otherwise we wouldn't have made it this far.
That's right. And again, we enjoy all the podcasts. It's not like we're I feel like I'm keep apologizing, and I kind of am, but we love Agents of M.A.S.K. We have not forgotten about our first love, which was Agents of M.A.S.K. And MASKast. Just got like you said, a little steered a little different. Got to realign the alignment on the car.
Yep, true. All right, here we go. Let's get rolling on this. Welcome, agents, to MASKast 69 and another episode review of the Mobile Armored Strike Command animated series. Coming up, we will be examining episode 53, Patchwork Puzzle, which will include our play-by-play commentary along with audio clips mixed in from the actual episode. And at the dramatic halfway point, and of course at the end of the show, we will pause to give our impressions, and we'll give our final verdict along with our 1 to 5 scale rating, as we always do in these podcasts. Then we will turn the floor over to you, our listeners, and even watchers on YouTube, if you watch us over there, to announce the results of our online poll and also read back your reviews of the episode. And you can always find that when you go to agentsofmask.com and click in that right-hand column where the image is from the episode. You click on that and go to the article. The embedded video is right there to watch in our poll, and you can leave a comment, obviously, there as well. But we are excited. We are back, and we're ready to get into another episode review. Patchwork Puzzle was originally broadcast on December 11th, 1985 in the United States, and it featured VENOM stealing a Civil War era quilt and a fireplace screen that contains a secret message to finding buried treasure near the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. It's, of course, up to M.A.S.K. to stop Mayhem's plan to get the treasure. I'm Jason, one of your humble hosts of MASKast, and with me, as always, is my longtime friend and fellow co-host, the Dr. Herc Armstrong, to my Metlar. Wyatt, have you discovered the evil that lies within?
Not yet, because I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm getting pretty bad. You're stretching it to the point I don't even know.
I am stretching. Yeah, I'm digging. But and this one I do not remember watching as a kid. This is all about a cartoon called The Inhumanoids. And it was a Marvel Sunbow show. So like in the G.I. Joe, in the Visionaries. What else did Marvel and Sunbow? I guess they did Transformers. So it was of that same kind of realm. A lot of the same voice actors were in Humanoids that we were used to in G.I. Joe and Transformers and the like. And it was very short-lived. I want to say, yes, it was a 13-episode series. So it made it 13 episodes in 1986. And it had a couple, I think a few comic books, maybe I think it was a 4-issue series of comics. Reading my notes here. And they had it part of a larger block of cartoons, which included Jim and the Holograms, Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines, and Robotics. And then it and Jim kind of was created their own series from that little mashup there. Super Sunday is what they called it.
Oh, I remember Super Sunday. I just don't remember Inhumanoids.
Yeah, and so it was very interesting. It looked very dark just by watching the intro and the tagline, "The evil that lies within." But it was more like underground, a bunch of scientists, and they discover these creatures. Again, I've never watched the series. I've seen images and I've seen toys and whatever else that came along with Inhumanoids. I've seen some of the comics, but never really got into it. So, and it sounds like you have never got into it as well.
No, I'm just looking it up just to see if I even remember anything, and yeah, none of the images look anywhere familiar at all. I probably was not on my TV dial.
Yeah.
So,
And again, with 13 episodes, it's probably a hit or miss. And if it's on a Sunday, I don't remember watching too many cartoons on Sunday, but
no.
Yeah, that one missed me altogether, even though it was in that prime time of my childhood in 1986.
Well, for me,
we can put that one on our rediscovered podcast list over on Rediscover the 80s.
I think so, because we obviously have not heard of that one. Sundays for me typically went, after church, went to grandma's for 3-ish hours, get home about 4-ish, we'll call it, and I don't recall much except getting ready for the evening service and then being shuffled off the bed. So if there was anything on, no, because I think even old DJ Cat show was on Saturdays.
DJ Cat, yeah, that was Saturdays.
I really want to do that or tie it somehow to our WPIX days.
Yeah,
but yeah, I remember that guy. There's a small rap video out there that they mix a couple. I don't think someone captured all of the growths or different versions of DJ Cat, because he actually changed, and he changed a voice, which I didn't even know they changed a voice on him. But they flip-flopped it. They tried to do a pseudo rap video with it, and it's all the newer. I guess there was a newer generation of DJ Cat that missed me, or we moved out of Clearfield. We lost WPIX. But it's not the DJ Cat I remember.
Yeah, that was I remember watching that, I think at your house on Dory Street, and not many times beyond that, which is when I would stay over. So yeah, I think that's more one of your shows than it was mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's put a DJ Cat back in his little pen there, and we'll dig the we'll dig the human and humanoids back underground, and we will get our mask on. All right, so there's been quite a few things since the last time we recorded that I kind of want to discuss, and one of the big ones right now is the M.A.S.K movie. So back earlier last year, they announced that they got F. Gary Gray as a director with the Fast and Furious pedigree under his belt to make a live action M.A.S.K movie. And we're all hyped. We're like, yes, this is going to be the closest we get to you know, what we probably want to see on screen. And we're all hyped up, and I was really, really excited. I was trying to hold back my excitement just because, how many times have we had rumors like this come up and just fall flat?
Right.
So anyway, as I like to do, I go over to Hasbro's site once in a while just to see what's going on. I'll go through their investor presentations, look at the slides to see if M.A.S.K is still there. It's still there. In that new logo that we talked about, actually, I think on our last show. But in the they did a presentation at Toy Fair this year, like they do for their investors. And going through their PowerPoint, I got up to a slide, and the slide has their like movie slate for the next 2 years. So I'm like looking, there's no M.A.S.K logo on here. What's going on? So their movie slate has G.I. Joe, and it has Micronauts for 2020. And then 2021, they have My Little Pony and Dungeons and Dragons. That's it. No mention at all in that whole PowerPoint of M.A.S.K gearing up to make this a franchise that they try to beef up a little bit, or hang on, we're gonna go for a ride on M.A.S.K in next year. We're starting this movie. Nothing. I listened to the presentation, listened to the Q&A at the end. Nothing in there for M.A.S.K. So I don't know. What are your thoughts now? Here we are, probably getting close to a year since they made an announcement that they were going to make it, and we've got nothing on their quote unquote slate.
If they still have the brand, then there is a very sliver of a shining hope that there's something coming down the pike. If they're not on the movie slate, then disappointed is probably the nicest way to put it. Because we were all hyped. We were all hoping that something would come down, especially when they pulled the Fast and Furious director on there. We thought, this is coming. This is actually coming to fruition. And then this just baffles me what happened, unless, again, this is that sliver of a glimmer of hope that they won't be able to produce it in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's maybe the 2020 or 2022 slate coming up. Otherwise, like I said, disappointed is what I am, because I thought we were going to have something. I thought there would be something down the road. We've talked quite a bit about the Micronaut franchise and the other entities that are out there. We've talked that G.I. Joe has been just pushed around or used quite a bit too much, and that, okay, give one of the other ones a shot. Well, they're giving My Little Pony a freaking shot.
That one's an animated one. Yeah. So
I'm really disappointed, really, even if they could have in the Q&A said it's on the slate, or it's on, we are working it. They don't have to say delays, but it's on the 22 to 23 focus, or the next 2-year focus, or whatever they do, that vision. And maybe because of investors, they don't go that far out, but at the same time, man, you could, heck, we would invest in that, whether it's $50, $100, something. We would throw something at it to say, Matt, come on. And I
Right.
think we have, in a roundabout way, we've done our part in investing in it, if not through uh, MASKast, Agents of M.A.S.K, the website. Um, we've done our fair share with the M.A.S.K comics that came out. We've tried to grab up most, if not all, the episodes, the magazines, to show that we have an interest. We have our own differences of opinion on the content, but we want M.A.S.K. We want to see M.A.S.K, whatever, basically, whatever direction they decide to spin it. So where is it? And I think there's enough fan base, maybe not in Hasbro's radar, but I would think with what I see on Facebook, what I see in Twitter, there is a substantial market for something to grab hold. Like, you got people recreating stuff. You got people thinking stuff out of the box, making the never to sail shark, or the M.A.S.K control room table thing. You got people making the masks themselves. I mean, dude, Hasbro, wake up. We want it. At least tell us. You probably have to be secretive, but at least give us the whisper that it's in the works. It's coming. Just sit down and be quiet. Something.
I wish I had some back channels at Hasbro just to get an idea of what they're thinking, because I don't know. There is a Fast and Furious like spinoff coming. I think it's the end of this year, with The Rock and Jason Statham, I think, which were both in the last one or maybe even 2 movies. And they're building off of those characters, but it's essentially a Fast and the Furious movie, even though it's not a direct sequel. So I don't know if they pushed it because of something like that coming up. It's just I don't know. It's so strange that they have it yet they don't have it. They want to go, but they don't want to go. And I've heard a lot of feedback and seen a lot of stuff, mainly on Facebook, from people on a couple different levels. And it's one of the ones I see is, well, they gotta establish G.I. Joe first, and then they can build M.A.S.K off of that.
Haven't they established it a few times?
Right? And here's the thing for Hasbro. So they've got a hit on their hands with Bumblebee that they just made, and the fans pretty much love it. So they've got something to build from there, and they did not waste a second to say they're working on another one out of that kind of movie in that presentation. So, they've got the fans of that era now interested in, all right, they can make a fun movie that we enjoy. So obviously they want to keep moving with Transformers, and that's fine. And I'm hoping that they're going to tap into what they did with Bumblebee with G.I. Joe. They have to.
They
essentially have to, make the characters look like the original characters and give them that personality that we all wanted, not the bland gray movies that we've got up to this point, where all the characters kind of blend together. So they've got to do that with G.I. Joe, but I don't see why. I see the point of, okay, Transformers, G.I. Joe, we're a lot bigger than M.A.S.K, so we have to build it out from there. So we establish them in G.I. Joe, and then they can have their own movie later. if they're popular enough or something. Well, I'm just, if you're getting F. Gary Gray and you want to do a Fast and Furious type movie, isn't that enough in of itself to get people looking at it and interested, even if they don't know who the hell Matt Tracker is? You've got you've got cars and you've got a director with a pedigree. That should be enough.
Yeah.
You know, if they can make a sequel off of 2 characters out of the Fast and Furious movie and not call it that, and if this thing goes through the roof like all of the other ones have in the last 4 or 5 years, that should be enough to say we can make this. It doesn't have to be a $200 million movie, but we can make it, and people will be interested enough to go see it if it's a lot of action and it's the vehicles. So that argument I can see, but I don't want to hear it. I guess I just feel like they could do something like that on their own without having to build out of, you know, G.I. Joe. So here we are. We don't know if they're working on it or not. The other feedback I get is, well, the comics killed it. Nobody liked the comics, so that was M.A.S.K's one shot and it's dead. You know that, and I'm like, I don't think a comic book series that doesn't sell well determines whether or not you're going to make a movie that could make hundreds of millions of dollars. And obviously you got to put some money into it, more than you would making a comic book. But to put the franchise on the success or not success on a comic book story that was somewhat M.A.S.K, I don't know. I don't know why we're pinning it on that.
No, and I don't think, as much as I liked, I guess some, I won't say all of it, but some of the comic book, I still don't think they should have tested the waters. If that's what they were doing, I don't think they should have tested the waters with the comic book series. If you're gonna test it with a cartoon.
Well, that was probably the cheapest way out.
It probably was, but still,
it really is. If that comic book would have been a huge success, and if it was still going to this day, and we're on issue number 30 now, whatever, would they have said, okay, that's enough to launch a movie? There would have been probably the same amount of people that saying the comic book killed it would be the same people that say, oh, a comic book's not enough, man. That's not enough to make a movie out of it. Are they crazy? You know, there's always the critics, I guess.
Right.
And always the people that are just not optimists, will say, more the pessimist attitude to making something like this, and they think it's a pipe dream. Well, I don't know why you're announcing directors and that you're making movies if it is truly a pipe dream. It can't be. So anyway, and just following up on the comic book, there was a short little blurb in, I think it was Unicron, the Unicron series.
Mm-hmm.
That they shoehorned a few pages of M.A.S.K in there to kind of wrap it up, I guess. Did not like that at all. That was it was more like I think they pretty much said towards the end, illusion is not the ultimate weapon, and they kind of linked arms and sang "Kumbaya" at the end. It was, I mean, no, it wasn't really that, but it just felt like this. What we did before didn't really matter, and everything's okay, and we like each other in the end. So I don't even know why they stuck it in the book. I bought it just because I was curious. So in a way, the more I go back and read the comics, the more I'm like, yes, I'm grateful. It's kind of like the Ghostbusters movie with the girls. I enjoyed it. Still not sure what that movie was supposed to be. But, you know, for what it's worth, I enjoyed it. Was it the best thing in the world? No. So, you know, we got that. We got something to collect and look at for several months. and I'm happy we did. But you know, will it be part of the Mask legacy that people go back to? No, I mean, it's always going to be the cartoon, right? So anyway, that was my little tangent about about the comic books. But you know, the movie, we need to get something soon, either one way or the other. We need to see F. Gary Gray being booked for the next 5 years and those movies not being Mask, and then I can just kind of move on,
right,
and go stick my head in the sand somewhere. But anyway, let's get on past that. If you want to go over to Matt Tracker's YouTube with Bill, he did a little reaction video, a somber reaction to that slide that I found in the Toy Fair presentation. And I will plug him too. I did get a chance to go over there and do an episode with him of Behind the Mask, where we did talk about those vehicles that never were released that we wanted, like Shark and like the transport plane. And we had a fun little discussion about that. So go check that on YouTube. And I will plug that there is a Mask Customs page on Facebook. I think you've probably seen this too.
Mm-hmm.
But the person behind it, I can't remember his name. He's come up with some really unique stuff. Like, he's made the Shark. The most recent one he made was T-Bob in his little diving gear outfit from, I think it's from Ghost Bomb, where he gets launched off of Shark in the water.
Yep.
He made that little figure on the card. He made a Transformer out of the IndyCar from Goliath in the racing series, Matt Tracker's race car. And I don't know how he did it, or if it was like just like a custom paint on one that already existed, but he put it in a little box and everything. Oh, it looked fantastic. So go check that out if you're a Mask fan and you're into some of these customs. I think he does the masks themselves as well. Go check out Mask Customs on Facebook, and he is selling the stuff too. So if you want to have an interesting piece in your collection, something new to get, go check them out. And then I guess one more little thing for Get Your Mask On is I have created an Instagram account for us. It's just Agents of Mask. Go find us on Instagram and follow. And I've been trying to post little clips from the series. I've actually taken some images from the UK comics that I have, which were they're really great drawn. They are drawn really great. And some fantastic imagery in there. I've been taking pictures of those and trying to stylize them in this little photo app I got. I found that patent the other day with the Mask logo on it, and I thought that was interesting. And then the one that I posted on Instagram was the one of Thunderhawk, kind of thanking those gentlemen for giving us one of the greatest toys, not just of the 80s, but ever. But I've been doing some fun things over there on Instagram. Anything you want to add to Get Your Mask On before we get into the episode?
Just that we were excited to get back to our MASKast studios and to push forward and actually do this episode. It's been a little while, so we apologize if we haven't said it enough already. But we are back in action, and let's get it going.
Yeah, let's go to your neck of the woods and check out what's going on in DC.
All right, let's start the MASKast. We fade up on the DC Capitol building and pan over the DC Mall, and we end up at the Smithsonian Institute with Hondo leading the pack of Boy Scouts, with Scott rattling off the old items that they keep here, with T-Bob replying that it's like his refrigerator in his room. The corny thing is, I don't remember us growing up in the 80s and having a refrigerator in our room. So, that was the rich kid there.
Yeah, we didn't grow up in a mansion, that's for sure.
No, we had one fridge. Not too many of us had like the dad that had the beer fridge, but nonetheless,
right.
Scott looks over and asks that an item, asked about this item, which is the Buku pendulum, but he doesn't know this. And Hondo, what is this thing? And Hondo says, it's the Buku pendulum. It proves that the Earth spins on its axis. Scott asks, what else are they going to see? With Hondo saying, it's up to Tommy Thompson, the assistant scoutmaster, who is drawn quite a bit like Matt. In fact, I almost thought it was Matt Tracker walking
I did too. I did too.
Tommy states that they're going to see a fully furnished home from the Civil War period. Scott is perplexed at the size and the fact that there is no electricity. And of course, T-Bob can't help himself. He responds, no electricity? No thanks. I don't think I'll get much of a charge out of that. Boom, boom, boom. Roll my eyes.
Yep.
We cut to Floyd Malloy holding his mask, then back to the scouts as they move on. He walks up to the
actually, I'm sorry, that's actually Nash Gorey.
Is that Nash? I got it wrong.
Yeah. Nash was the first one seen there.
But he walks up to the glass, surveys the bedroom, then puts his mask on. Next, we hear this crash. We cut to T-Bob looking back to see what's going on. And then we see Nash cutting the glass with a laser, and he steals the quilt from the bed. Scott, the big hero, says to T-Bob that they need to stop him, with T-Bob replying that he doesn't want a merit badge for courage. I don't think he'd ever get one.
I actually laughed at that joke.
Although we did make him out to be a hero with your mashup video.
We did.
So Hondo tells Scott no, then instructs Tommy to, call security. Floyd looks around and seems to see no one. I'm sorry, Nash looks around and seems to see no way out except a door. He tries to ram it, but it seems to be locked, knocking him to the floor. Next, we see him use the powerhouse mask, the first time we've seen this, which seems to emit some kind of ray from its chest plates. The power then seems to just weaken the overall integrity of the door, and he just literally just touches it with his finger, and it falls over. Scott is concerned, saying that he got away, with Hondo telling him to please calm down and instructing Tommy again that to call security if he hasn't already. And this is where we fade up to the Tracker mansion.
Yeah, that mask for Nash Gorey, I believe it's supposed to make him like have the strength of however many men. So it like empowers him to be like the Incredible Hulk and lift stuff, push doors in, and whatever he needs to do, since he's the little puny weakling, as Rax likes to pick on throughout this episode.
Yeah.
So we fade back to the Tracker mansion. We hear the phone ring. Matt picks it up and tells Hondo hello, and then asks if the two musketeers are pulling stunts again. He says no, something strange is coming up involving VENOM, of course. Matt says there's nothing strange about VENOM being involved with something strange. Okay, he's trying to make a pun there. Hondo tells Matt about the quilt being stolen and that the museum people says it's practically worthless. So he says it's a puzzle for sure and asks Matt to come. So we cut a little bit later, and we now see Matt seated at the M.A.S.K computer station, and he asked the computer to select the agents best suited for the mission.
But did you know this? He changed the script. See, he says select the best agents best suited to the mission, not for the mission, like he usually says.
Oh, really? I did not pick up on that. It was quick though. It just seemed like we got right into the agents real quick here. The computer tells him the selection is complete, and the first agent up is Bruce Sato with Rhino for his knowledge of design principles. Bruce is out flying a kite, and his watch goes off and hands the kite to a kid on a nearby skateboard, and the kid takes off down the road. Then we get Jacques Lefleur in Volcano for his added firepower capabilities, I think is what they say. Jacques is doing this like the log rolling game on the river, the lumberjack that he is, and he gets the call on his watch, and he kind of straddles the log like a kayak or a canoe and paddles away with his balancing stick that he had while he was up there on the log. And then, of course, Hondo is pre-selected with Hurricane this time. Matt approves the choices and tells the computer to assemble. So we cut right back to Boulder Hill after this, and all the agents are assembled. They're in the war room there, and they're at the table with Jacques asking what the mission is. Matt and his we get to see his volcano suit in this episode. He tells them that Venom has stolen a quilt, but it's probably a cover for something else. So Bruce quips that stealing the quilt could be so dangerous. Rolling my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Matt hits the button, and they are taken up into the mask room, which was great to see. And it looked kind of like new animation. It probably was, I guess, based on the masks that they were using in this episode, but it seemed really quick too.
And well, at least we got the round table. We haven't seen that for what seems like ages, and I'm not even that we've been absent for a little bit. I'm saying that for several episodes, we haven't seen that table for quite a while. I want to say about what 15, 20 episodes.
Yeah. It was just really, really quicker than they normally do to bring the mask down, then charge them, then bring them down lower, and they pull them off and put them on. But it was just real quick with that. I think there was even a different way that they kind of lit them up or charged them this time.
Yeah, with a whole different color, new style glow. The animation seemed a little on the choppy side. I mean, it was 80s animation, but it was even worse than typical 80s animation.
Yeah. So right after this, then we get Rhino and Volcano speeding away with Bruce and Jacques driving, and Matt is shotgun in Volcano, I think, when they head on out. And we end up back in D.C.
Right. And we fade into a campsite. Hondo states that the square knot is very desirable as it won't slip, with Scott saying it's just what T-Bob needs to keep his scout hat on. Hondo asks that everyone try it and reminds the scouts that they could earn a merit badge. Scott turns to T-Bob and says he's going to earn himself a merit badge. Hondo replies that they are a couple strings short. Scott replies that it's okay. He'll practice on T-Bob's arms and legs. He's flexible enough. T-Bob seems to be restricting himself, with his worry being that he hopes that Scott knows how to untie the knots. I would too, especially if I need scooter mode. Scott finishes, and we see him all tangled up, with T-Bob saying that he's glad that his neck doesn't extend too. Scott surveys and says that it doesn't look right, with Hondo suggesting he would be better at first aid. We cut to T-Bob bandaged up almost like a mummy. Then Hondo states that it's much better and he may get a merit badge, with T-Bob saying he'd like to get something too to get out of there. Hondo then jokes that if there's a merit badge for being a good sport, he would surely win. Scott chuckles with an angered look now. T-Bob says that he doesn't know if he can be a good sport, but his uncle was a good sports car. Boom, boom. I wonder if it's related to Kit.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The scouts laugh. Hondo moves on to testing their sewing abilities. Scott asks if it's for sissies, with Hondo firmly correcting him, saying, "No, young man, it is not." He adds that he'll be sorry if he misses out on this opportunity. He's going to pass around a cloth, and he wants them to sew their initials on it. Then we are taken back to the Smithsonian, where Hondo walks up and asks that they excuse his outfit, with Jacques LaFour joking that he wishes he could wear short pants with Bruce whistling.
Matt asks, the old cat call.
Yeah. Matt asks if there's any further updates, with Hondo stating that it's still a mystery. Hondo escorts them to the crime scene. Inside, we see a woman screaming, with Miles wearing his Viper mask, instructing Rax to get the screen from the fireplace. Rax complains, like usual, that if they had sent him rather than Nash, they wouldn't have had to come back. Miles merely says, "Shut up, let's go." The people begin to walk away in fear, with Miles shouting, "Get out of our way." They walk up to what looks like a walled up doorway. Then Miles calls out for Venom, or I'm sorry, for Viper. We then see the duo gasping, with Miles complaining that the Viper power isn't working fast enough, and then deciding that they need to get out in front. M.A.S.K is surprised, with Miles shouting, "Move out! I dare for you all to get in my way." He then shoves the pendulum, then uses the Viper mask to sever the sphere, sending it chasing after our duo. And this is where we get our dramatic commercial break.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking much at all. I was sleeping. This episode so far, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
The drama at the break was a little okay. You know, I guess they had to put something in there. You know, just step out of the way. You know, it's this big Indiana Jones like rolling, you know, boulder coming towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Just move to the right or left, please. Thank you, and let the thing keep rolling. I don't know. I don't know. That was a little bit weird there. And just I don't know. I was in the Boy Scouts, so I appreciate Boy Scouting and everything that goes along with, you know, the merit badges and, you know, being outdoors and, you know, everything. But I don't know. I just was not into this episode in the side story that they were, you know, using at this jamboree in DC, which is a real thing, but I don't know. It wasn't real intriguing, and they're stealing a quilt. Okay, obviously it's going to be used for something, but I don't know. It was kind of just weird for a Mask episode, I guess. I did like seeing Nash Gory. That was fun. We haven't got him much up to this point. And like you said, I don't think he's used his mask. Maybe he has one time in an episode when he was there, but he didn't use a voice command to do like the laser beam to cut the glass, but he did, I believe, use voice command for Powerhouse when he used it to smash through the door or use his pinky to knock it over, which was kind of cool. The jokes were up and down. There's a couple that I genuinely laughed at, but most were, of course, the roll my eyes moments. But it was kind of up and down throughout the first half, and I did enjoy seeing the sights, you know. But yeah, I don't know. The story was kind of lame to me at this point, and they should have, you know, like strategized a little bit more in the war room, extend that mask room scene, just cut that, you know, whole scene with the rope tying and the sewing and all that kind of shorter, because they, you know, they use the flag that they're making or whatever cloth later in the episode, which was fine, but I don't know, it seemed a little bit long for there. So I you know, we start out at a 5. I dropped it down to 3.5.
Interesting.
What say you?
Well, I thought the animation was okay, except for the mask situation table when it's in the mask. That was kind of choppy. It's like they forgot how to use the mask room to generate, you know, to do everything. It's like they completely spaced. Oh yeah, we did this, didn't we? How did we draw that?
Yeah. Okay. Let's put it back in. Yeah.
More right. It's more like, okay, like a whole new crew came in and someone down the line said, okay, you need to make this happen. Make what happen? That's just what the kind of thought I had. But I did like that they actually used Boulder Hill. They typically haven't for a while, except maybe to see the car's exit. But you don't even see that much anymore. It's usually, you know, call up the MASK agents. Boom, they're on the scene wherever they needed to be.
Yeah.
I like seeing the masks because it's been really seldom that we actually get the mask use. We'll get the vehicles being in some kind of firefight, but not so much on the mask. So I liked seeing a little bit there. I like that there seemed to be a little bit of an attempt at learning with the Boy Scouts and learning about the Buku pendulum and a couple things. But like you, I was really, what's going on with this episode? Why? What's supposed to keep my attention, especially if I'm a, I don't know, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid back in the day. I'm not intrigued, and I like Mask, so, and as an adult, so I don't know what's going on. That it's not sucking me in. So I was a little disappointed. I kept it middle of the road because I'm hoping that it gets better down the road, but I left it at a 3.
Okay. See, I had that same kind of feeling. I'm like, okay, so they're building this. There's going to be some mystery around the quilt, and
that's what I was hoping for. There must be some
yeah.
type of tie, but why a quilt? I guess it's the idea that it's a hidden map, or at least that's what I assumed at this point. I assumed that there was a hidden treasure map.
Right.
It's on this. But when they added the screen, the fireplace screen, I'm sitting there going, okay, I know it's in the end it's going to be part of it. But at that moment, you're sitting there going, what do you why do you need the fireplace screen? I mean, it's what? Seriously?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the second half of the episode, and so we fade right back up. Scott and T-Bob are continuing to run away from this rolling boulder. Matt tells them to grab the second level railing up above them. So T-Bob uses his go-go gadget arms to grab it, with Scott clinging on to the back of T-Bob, and he kind of pulls him up and away from this boulder. Well, but the boulder's still rolling. They're still seemingly in the path, and Matt out of nowhere throws a brick in their direction, and it just happens to land right in front of the boulder and stopping it. So
it's amazing how the cartoon animation works, right?
I just want to forget this whole dramatic scene right here.
Is this a panda power?
We'll discuss this later, but I don't know. This was probably my least favorite dramatic, bookend around a commercial break in the entire series so far. I was like, okay, so you're asking them to get out of the way, but they aren't necessarily looking like they're out of the way. So let me just throw a brick and I can stop this whole big boulder with a brick. And where's this brick coming from? So anyway, that's my take on that. Dangling from T-Bob, Scott drops down into Matt's arms, thanking him for saving the day there. T-Bob says they almost felt like what bowling pins feel like. And lucky for them, they had a spare moment. Matt chuckles, tells him he did good. Scott says they want to go with him and Hondo. T-Bob suggests it could be dangerous, and he's good enough right there where he is. Well, Hondo kind of looks around at this point and says it looks like they got away, meaning Venom. And Matt suggests they stay on the trail while it's still fresh. So we cut out to the museum parking lot next to the all the vehicles there from M.A.S.K, and Matt meets up with the agents there. That he's never known Venom to have a clean getaway like this, but he did, however, pull this one out of his behind. That the Venom vehicles use a special high octane fuel, and I was like, okay. And then Hondo says they can use Hurricane Scanner to pick up the trace elements of the fuel and track them to their hideout. Well, couldn't this have come in handy for the last 52 episodes?
Exactly.
I mean, okay, so you can track Venom now using their fuel signature left behind, and you can go track them down at any moment you want to and take them out. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hondo jumps in Hurricane, and the grill guard pops up there on the front, and you see some flashing, and it starts to scan, and inside you see the screen that blips from just above the dashboard with Hondo saying bingo, and Matt suggests they can track those turkeys, suggests that they go out and track those turkeys, and the agents roll out with Hurricane in the lead, being the tracking one. And then now we see them in their flight suits. They had a quick change there because they were in their civvies around the, the museum. And Matt requests the computer to connect him with the Smithsonian Institute there inside of Rhino. So he's now driving Rhino and doing what we should not be doing, you know, messing with our phones as we're driving down the highway. He's messing with the Rhino computer.
Well, this is back in the day when it was okay for Michael Knight to be doing the same thing, you know.
Oh, but Kid had control of the car.
That's true. That is true.
Anyway, so and I noticed, you know, Matt's. I thought maybe since he's driving Rhino, they put him in his Rhino suit, but he's still in the Volcano suit. But anyway, he asked the computer to essentially scan the quilt and you know, give me the technical readouts and see if there's like a pattern. And I don't know. I guess he's grasping at straws, as they say at this point, trying to find a pattern. But Bruce doubts there could be anything hidden in it, you know, itself. And Matt saying probably wouldn't even keep you warm on a cold night. It's probably just has historical value. But using this split screen imagery like we've seen before in the cartoons, I like it when they do this split screen with the other agents when they chime in, and apparently there's like an open, you know, audio channel open so they can talk to each other. But they chime in with Jacques suggesting it's probably a trick, and Hondo saying it might have been a distraction to keep them away from whatever the real caper going on is. And I like that idea. I mean, that made sense to me, that they would make a bunch of noise over here to go steal something over here, you know.
Right.
But then, you know, Matt asked the computer to scan the fireplace, and computer, no insight on the screen. And Jacques questions, you know, could it be something about the whole pattern of the screen itself? And he asked for more analysis, and the computer scans without any success. And we get a close up of Matt's like wandering eyes back and forth. I don't know if that was supposed to be him thinking there or something, but anyway, it was kind of weird there. So after all that scanning and driving, you know, they to track them, they still have nothing on what Venom has stolen. And then now we get them at their this abandoned warehouse where Venom is hiding out. Right.
And I'm surprised that they didn't wreck. This whole time they've been looking at the computer screen.
That's what I was kind of thinking. I'm like, dang, if I had been looking at my phone this whole time and Matt is kind of honed in on that screen, that
we'd had some serious bumper car action right there.
Just keep the battering ram grill out so he can clear the path, you know, like a cow catcher on a train, you know.
Pretty much. So anyway, with the quilt hanging, Miles says that everything is going to plan so far. Then Gory says, "Gosh, we are so lucky to be working with someone as smart as you." Rax here has no sunglasses, and Rax complains, saying, is his brains leaking out of his mouth, or is it just his tongue? And Nash replies, "Sticks and stones will break my bones." Rax replies that he has no bones, you jellyfish. And then they just basically go back and forth. Miles barks, "Don't worry, Malloy, as none of them have anything. He knows it." Yeah, and he knows it. "Let's move it." We see the Venom vehicles exit. And then here's I guess a little perplexion for me. I'm reading into it probably. But how does Switchblade get out of the garage door?
Now that animation itself kind of threw me, because it almost looked like it was on wheels or something. Like he drove it out of the...
That's what it looked like, but there's no towing vehicle. I didn't see any wheels. I don't know of any wheels on.
No. I guess the opening in the door was wide enough for him to fly in and out.
Me and my movies and TV shows, it reminds me of a scene in Airwolf, right? They bring Airwolf for repair back to Santini Air the one night.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the DVD, especially the DVD, you see the guy. I thought it was actually Jan Michael, like crouched down to get ready to jump in for some cut scene or something. But you see a guy with their like a winter cap. You see him bob up in the window just slightly as they're pulling Airwolf back out for the next day. And I thought this is what reminds me of. I'm thinking that there's a guy, hiding that's wheeling him out.
Yeah, that he's just hired for him to take the thing in and out of this warehouse.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get back to the scout camp. Tommy has the scouts gather around with him, saying that they did a good job and everyone's initials are on the quilt. Scott asks, "What's?" Oh yeah, Scott asks, "What's it for? What's it? What's Tommy
for?
trying to say?" I'm sorry, my wording was bad. Jeez.
Scott asks him what it's for.
With Tommy saying, "You'll see." Okay,
mm-hmm.
I gotta work on my English, I guess. Jeez. He then shouts, "Hey yo, 249, you ready over there?" And another squadron of scouts state they are ready. Then we see the scouts sewing. Next, we see a large quilt with Scott asking, "What are they making?" with T-Bob suggesting a new quilt for the Smithsonian. Scott then replies that it will be much too big for that. With a red sky as the backdrop, M.A.S.K rolls up with an animation flaw as they stop.
What flaw did you say?
It says, "Do you notice the horns or something appear on Rhino's fenders?"
No.
There's actually a little. I see it. It's real subtle, but it's like they decided it's Rhino. Why don't we have a little horn on it? It's subtle, but it looks like it's like a glitch where they drew it too fast. It might be. But anyway, so Hondo begins talking as the mask is lowered, saying that if his scanner is correct, the path leads them here. We then see the masks lowered, again without a command, and then we get to see Matt's lava mask. Rhino rams through the chain link fence, then through the garage doors of the building. As Bruce gets out, Rhino's headlights go on with a sound effect.
Now, let me stop you here for a second.
Okay.
This bugged me because you use Rhino to ram through the door, ram through the fence, but you're not using the extended grill.
Yes, I noticed that.
Wow.
Where's the
missed opportunity?
Yep.
That's people that do not know M.A.S.K that are drawing this.
That's it.
Use the battering ram grill. That's what it's for. Oh, that bugged me.
Anyway, that takes us to where Bruce shouts that they've found the quilt, and we see Jacques Lafleur.
Yeah, and he notices the fireplace screen there too, and they're in fine condition. Doesn't appear to be any damage or anything. Bruce asks Matt to take a look at the quilt, and he seems to think there is a pattern, but he just can't recognize it. So he looks over at the fireplace screen too, and then Hondo and Jock kind of move it in front of the quilt, and Matt is kind of directing where to hold it. Matt says that's not it. As Bruce says, there's two sides to every coin, two ways to join. And Hondo asks him if he stays up at night to come up with this stuff. I thought that was funny. Matt interprets Bruce's little quip there to turn it around 180 degrees. Now, is it just me? Okay, so he's trying to move this screen in front of the quilt, but the screen pattern itself is symmetrical. So turning it around 180 degrees did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but I'm like, Matt, you're smarter than this. This is not going to work no matter how you turn it, unless you turn it on its side or something. Which Jacques even chimes in that there are 8 ways to look at this, and they've only looked at 2 ways now. I mean, turning the thing 4 sides and 4 sides on the other side. Anyway, Hondo sarcastically says that he likes that's what he likes about the lumberjack. He always thinks of something encouraging to say. He's being sarcastic there. Bruce just laughs, and Matt stares into the quilt now, and we see like some lines showing on his face. And he immediately interprets these lines as Morse code, and the message says that $3 million is buried underneath the monument, the Washington Monument. Oh, I'm gonna save it for the end, but this whole scene, I was like, okay, so how is the light shining on him? Where's the light source coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And why does he know Morse code so well? But anyway, so this is how they put the pieces together and determine what's going to happen. So, of course, Hondo's like, well, that's right where the scouts are. They're right there by the Washington Monument for the jamboree. And so we cut right to the monument, and the scouts now, you see them raising that quilt that they made as somewhat like a flag, with the Washington Monument as the pole. So this is a huge little thing they put together there.
Mm-hmm.
Huge little thing. That made sense. So this is a huge thing that they've, put together. Fireworks now are going off as Mayhem kind of comes into scene, and he's telling the agents to hurry up. And the fireworks will be the perfect cover. So Gory walks over, and he's holding a box full of something, and he tells Mayhem, "Right, boss." And Rax, I want to know what the tiff is between Rax and Gory. Did Gory make a move on Vanessa or something? Why is Rax so much bullying him?
Rax just seems to be like he's always has a beef with someone. He's always getting on Miles anymore. He's getting on Nash. He's been getting on Vanessa since like episode 3.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's just part of his personality. Dagger, he makes fun of Dagger all the time. So anyway, so Rax mocks him here again, saying, right, boss, and tells him he's disgusting, and to get his string bean of a body moving. I don't know. Anyway, they remove... sorry, my notes just jumped. They remove what appears to be some explosives from these boxes, and they start putting them in the ground, and Mayhem wants to be sure that they are at the right spot. I guess talking to Malloy, who's standing nearby, and he says, "You think I'm an idiot like these other two?" And Mayhem says he's a very unique idiot, and to answer the question, and Malloy very angrily says he told him it was. I don't know. Something weird there. Anyway, Gory says, they're all set, sir. Rax mocks him again, saying that he thinks he's going to be sick after he calls Mayhem sir. As the fireworks continue in the sky, that's when Rax, he strikes the match and lights the fuse to these explosives. And the agents kind of take cover, and this explosion makes a hole in the ground. And they run up to it, and they pull this like box out, and Mayhem uses the Viper mask here again to melt the lock on this box. Not sure why I didn't melt the whole thing.
Right.
But anyway, as they are ready to look inside, we get these bright lights that shine on them.
Right, and all this bright lights blinds our Venom guys. Then Matt races Rhino toward Venom, scattering them from the box and knocking it open, which sends the money flying with Miles shouting, "Mask!" Then I think it's Nash throws some of it in the air, and Miles states that he better not tell them that it's counterfeit. He states that it's not counterfeit, it's Confederate, totally worthless. And I guess that sends old Venom Miles into a tizzy.
He growls right here. He's like,
yeah, that's what I thought he said. I didn't mark it, but I thought that he made a sound like a growling.
It's just like, yeah, it's just a growling sound.
Then Volcano and Hurricane race towards them, and Venom rushes to their vehicles, and we see Outlaw change, then taking a shot at Hurricane before being knocked over from a blast by Volcano. Another blast chases Nash away. Rhino races up, and then we see, I think it's Floyd roll up, then turn around in Vampire. It changes and takes to the air. The front part was very choppy before changing, at least to me. The animation was choppy. Matt then says that he's always wanted to flag down Venom, and he uses the stack cannons to sever the quilt flag that was made, and then sends it sailing onto Nash, Floyd, causing him to crash into the water. With all the scouts looking on, we see Hurricane chasing Piranha, with Scott saying, "It's Rax," and they have to do something. T-Bob says, "No, they have to stay here. He's at the end of his rope with me." Scott explains, "That's it." So Rax is now gloating, saying nothing can stop him now. Then we see the scouts at either end of the rope, keeping it taut, which trips Rax and sends him flying off the bike. And there's at least some consistency right there with the Mask Riders.
Yeah. I did like that Scott identified Rax right here, because you remember there's even one episode, I believe, when Rax kidnaps him and he's in the Piranha sub and he's locked in there and T-Bob's chasing him, trying to save the day. So I like that he specifically identified him, and there might be something in his past, like the kidnapping, that would make him motivated enough to want to do something on his own.
Right.
So that made sense to me. Out of an episode that didn't really make sense.
Very true. And then we see Rax run off. All the scouts shout, "We did it!" and they laugh. All but Miles. He simply runs away without their vehicles. Another roll your eyes moment. And then that's when we head back to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, and the final scene, I believe this is the next day. The boys, the Boy Scouts and M.A.S.K agents are looking at the exhibit now with the screen and the quilt restored. I guess the glass was even replaced too at this point. But Matt says everything worked out with them getting the items back undamaged, and Bruce adding that they got a whole chest of Confederate money as well. And Scott says he thought it was worthless. Well, Hondo says yes, but they can sell it as souvenirs, with Jacques chiming in that the funds could go to fixing the pendulum that was now in the side of the building, I guess. Actually, it wasn't, because Matt stopped it with that miraculous brick throw. Yes. Scott comments this trip to DC was exciting, and he's now sorry that it's over. And T-Bob agrees that now it's all just history. And they have a hearty laugh, and we fade out and fade right up into our PSA.
And this is where the duo are sitting at a tent site with a feather in their hair, or at least an attempt on T-Bob. Scott shows T-Bob a piece of wood and says that in a little while, it will be his new model bow. He just has to carve it with his scout penknife. Matt walks up and says, "You'll be sure to use it the way he taught him, right? Always keep your legs and other parts of the body away from the blade, and stroke the blade in a motion away from your body. Never pull the knife towards you." Well, no kidding. Scott agrees, saying that you could slip and it might cut yourself. Matt adds that safety in everyone's business. Matt adds that safety is everyone's business. And that's it. At least they have something somewhat sort of connected in the PSA that they're at a tent site.
True.
They haven't had that for a while either. So as the credits roll, what is your rating?
I'm teetering, but just going over the good things that I pulled out. The voice work of Doug Stone again. I mean, you had Matt, Bruce, Hondo, Floyd, and Gory. I think all those were Doug in this episode. 5 of the probably 8 or 10, main characters. Wow. And them. There was more on the M.A.S.K side that there's talking back and forth between those specific characters, but yeah, I don't know. I thinking about that at the end of the episode and how many, not just Doug, but when somebody else has 4, 5, 6 characters in one episode that they do, it's just amazing to me. Excuse me. I like the those conversion sequences towards the end with Outlaw and Vampire. We don't get to see Outlaw a lot. We've seen it a couple times. I think we might have seen it convert once, but this was a little more detailed, and it was a lot like the toy. And I've kind of chuckled with Bill when we were talking about our the vehicles that were not produced, and we were talking about Outlaw being kind of Venom's base for a while. And I was trying to remember if they used that top portion. They pulled the radar dishes out of it on this episode when they converted it, but it didn't really look like somebody was going to be up there. And it was more or less like just like the toy, and they used that huge cannon to start shooting. And I did like Vampire the way that they converted it from the side and then just kind of shot it up into the air as he took off. And even with the Washington Monument kind of in the background too, I thought that was a really great shot. And, for the most part, the animation I thought was good in the episode. There were some nice sweeping shots of the Venom agents at the end. I don't know if you picked up on that, but like right before they shine the lights on them from Rhino, there's this real nice panning shot. And then it gets really bright, really quick right there. And there was another one before that too, I think, when they're setting the explosives. And I did like, for the most part, the vehicle battle at the end was kind of quick, but it was still good in the fact that they're toppling over Outlaw, and there's this kind of head-to-head stuff going on. And even though Vampire kind of tucks his tail and runs when he sees Rhino, there's still that sequence of him shooting down the flag and making him crash into the water. So the vehicle battle was pretty good. The bad. Okay. So this could be the worst execution of a story in the entire show. I mean, we were never, it was never explained how Venom chose that precise spot to find the chest with the money in it. That it just said if the message was just there's $3 million at the Washington Monument, how would you know where to dig? And why was he asking Malloy? Why did Malloy have the information?
Exactly. Didn't they buy the quilt or get the quilt?
Right.
Ones with the map. So yeah.
And just there was no explanation on how Venom found out that there was this pattern on a quilt and a screen, who put it there, and just how it all worked together to show the Morse code. Just none of that was explained. No. We had no backstory at all. Give me the Boy Scouts and, show that they're there and their presence is there and there might be in danger or something. That's fine. But you're going from tying knots to sewing to doing other things, and just give me more of the story that we wanted to kind of tie everything together. But there was no backstory about who put the money there, why it was hidden, and for what reason. And how stupid does Miles have to be to know that, okay, there was money that was probably buried here 200 years ago or 150 years ago, and it was not going to be, crisp $100 bills that he could get from the local bank at the time. I mean, it's just ridiculous to me that they would go. I'm talking myself down to Panda Power here. The Morse code thing, all they had to do was just give me one little bit of line about why Matt knows Morse code so much. I remembered I was just I was in the Navy, or I did this or that. But I don't know. It was just
Matt knows
it was just too quick.
We just assume that he knows everything.
That's the thing. But just give me a little bit of something. I went through probably the main points here. The fuel signature, that bugged me. That was just ridiculous. Like I said before, why is this all of a sudden the catch-all for for Venom, that you can just track them anytime you want to because they use a specific fuel for their vehicles. And we had no mask use on the mask team at all.
Nope.
None at all. And you had Viper twice and you had Powerhouse at the beginning. That was it. So they need to do a better job. They should have done a better job in these episodes where they're trying to come up with a story. Just focus. Give me a good battle at the end. They did well with the vehicles. They didn't do anything at all with the masks. Mac shoots freaking lava out his mask, and how cool would it have been to see Viper, Mayhem do Viper, and this little stream comes out, and Matt shoot lava shot and just totally set Switchblade on fire or something, and Miles could be like, oh my gosh, I'm getting out of here. That would make more sense than just giving up, and that whole thing with the stupid, they were scared off so easily, but you've got the 3 agents running on the ground, and there's Miles just flying overhead, leaving them behind.
That's it. You're on your own, suckers.
The rhino suit and the volcano suit, that was just a little bit of a tick, and trying to figure out why Rax was such a butthole to Gory. But I'll leave it there. I've kind of run it through the ringer enough, and hopefully you've got something more to add as your review. But I landed on a 1.5.
Ooh.
And I gave it the half because of that vehicle battle at the end. And I was just thinking, okay, well, there is a little bit of value in this episode, but now I'm like, I don't even know if that's enough to save it from the end. So I rounded up and I voted a 2.
And that was a tough 2 to get to.
It was. What say you, sir?
Well, I like some of the vehicle transformations, more towards the end, like you highlighted. We already highlighted that they actually got to use Boulder Hill, so that was a good thing, although the animation and the masks and everything else was kind of crap, but and at least they got back to Boulder Hill. I like that they used a U.S. location, other than they're always traipsing around the world and barely in the U.S.
That was another thing too that I was like, this is cool that they're in DC, and they showed off DC at the beginning, the different monuments and stuff. So it wasn't just the Smithsonian and the Washington Monument. They used those a lot,
right?
But we saw some of the other ones at the beginning too to set up where they were.
I kind of likened the whole big huge boulder chase like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I've kind of figured that they kind of did a copycat of that, and the suspense was okay, but nothing, like you said, they should have had something more thoughtful for a cliffhanger for the commercial. And then the magical brick that saves them all. The fact that Rhino didn't use, we've already identified this, but the fact that Rhino didn't use his battering ram grill to go through that garage door and the fence, I mean, that's part of the marketing campaign, I would think, to sell the car.
Right.
Boy.
It's just so obvious, man. It's just so obvious that I'm like, gosh, are you serious? You did not use the battering ram grill to batter your way through those 2 barriers.
Right. I already picked up on this, but the little design flaw that what looked like horns on Rhino, and then how did Switchblade get out of that garage without the blades rolling? I don't know. I did pick up that on the eye animation, where they are using the lights, the eye animation was actually good. But then we get that, like, how do you know that this is Morse code that's popping out on the quilt? Yeah. I just don't get how you knew that.
Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
I try. It's very difficult because 43-year-old man trying to get back into my 9-year-old, 10-year-old mindset. Yeah. And it's so difficult because like we're doing, we're peeling this thing apart. When you got writers back in the day that are saying, it's 10-year-olds, they're never going to know. Who cares about Morse code? It's just a code. It's just something. It's
right.
Just a couple pieces here and there. And we sold our We sold our 53rd episode. The fact that, like you said, like that the going after the money was a good plot, but how did Floyd know anything about the location? There was nothing about being radioed, at least to make the connection. And how does um, Miles know that there's money, any type of amount of money in that box? And more importantly, how does he know it's 3 million? And the whole thing was just, again, a little messed up. Um, I liked some of the mask use, but like you said, there was nothing on Mask's side. It was Venom's side.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have a little, albeit it'd probably be like a split half-second duo or something, but a good Lava versus Viper. Which one's gonna win? Something to again, this is a live 22-minute commercial to sell the toys, and you failed. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. But anyway, yeah, I think I've run that through the gamut too. The watch alarm was terrible, but it's always terrible because they don't get it right.
Not consistent. Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm talking myself down. I rated it a 3, and I'm toying with making it like a 2. I don't know that I can make it down any more than a 1 yet, but there's more wrong than right. And I've already made my decision on our vote thing, but I think I can't I can't consciously give it a 3 anymore. I have to make it a 2.
Do it, man. Do
I
it.
don't know how to change it, but it's a 2. Dang it. Every time I make a change, it adds another vote. I can't delete the vote.
Well, so what? Just add another vote.
Dee-dee.
And we'll refresh.
I don't know. I don't think it did it. But anyway.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's run over to the poll and we'll get to what some other people thought about this, because we did get a couple comments and a few insights just today. I threw it back up there on Facebook and Twitter. And this is actually, according to Headlock Homer on Twitter, this is the only episode where Matt Tracker wore his volcano uniform. So that's interesting that, well, I mean, we're getting up to that 65th episode of that first season. It's not too far off. We got 12 episodes left. So either they don't use volcano again, or he's not in there with Jacques when they do use it again. And then somebody else said over on Facebook, Lucas Gwynn, this is the final appearance of Hondo and Hurricane as well. So that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
That this is going to be it for Hondo. And I did like that we got Hurricane here instead of Firecracker. And I think whatever episode that was, they destroyed Firecracker to get Hurricane. So it makes sense that it's not going to be there again. But actually, I kind of looked ahead at the next episode, and Firecracker is in there, and Buddy's driving it. So
really,
anyway, yeah, not consistent.
No,
it's the show. But we did get. Well, let's get to the poll first. What's the tally up to here?
Well, I didn't take my amendment, so we're at 14 votes. Looks like we got 3 votes for 5.
Who are you people?
Yeah. 4 votes for a 4. I will subtract my 3. So we have 3 votes for a 3. 3 votes for a 2. And 1 vote for a 1. So someone was at least closer to your view.
Yeah. So we had 7 that was 4 or 5, and we had 7 that was 3, 2, and 1. So I can't believe some people voted that's 4 and 5. It must be something that they
liked out of it.
Yeah, something they pulled out of there specifically. Well, let's find out. Let's get to Anna. Anna, our buddy who always leaves us a review. She says, I think this is an okay episode, but it's not among my favorites. I suppose I simply don't find the story exciting or good enough. Like Decker says below, I guess maybe we should have read his first. There is a nice twist at the end where Venom discovers that the money is Confederate and therefore worthless. But apart from that, I suppose I just find this episode rather boring. The animation is okay, but nothing more than that. I'm not sure that I've mentioned it before, but I'm not really a big fan of the way Nash Gory is portrayed in some of these episodes, where he just seems like a complete idiot. I remember him being portrayed in a very different way in the comics. That's a good point. And we'll get to, we didn't really talk about our any similarities in our M.A.S.K script that we wrote, but we did add Gory in there, and he's more of a I still would call him like a geek maybe, or a nerd, but he's a genius.
Yes.
With a computer, and he kind of hacks his way into I'm trying to remember now, where the masks are stored, like in Alex's lab or whatever, some safe place, and he hacks in and gets the masks.
Right. So originally, our original plot was that they worked for a defense contractor, and they were part of a black ops code, whatever company that field tested it. They went out and did legit like black ops or super secret marine type missions, but they experimented using the masks. They basically get canned from that mission or that facility, and they're mothballing the whole project. Well, Nash, like Jason said, goes in and cleverly picks out all the old plans, the original plans for everything, and takes them back. So Switchblade, Piranha, and all the other vehicles that you see on Venom's side are actually part of the original, like the original sketches. Now, M.A.S.K, on the side of M.A.S.K, they're having to recreate or make new stuff almost from scratch, because all the plans have been originally just stolen. So that's how our take is on that movie.
And he's got that still kind of weaselly persona, I think. We tried to keep that in the script.
I think we killed him off, didn't we? Did we kill him off on top of Jackhammer? Isn't he the one that we killed off?
No, the one we killed off was Bruno.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because we didn't give Bruno his own vehicle. He was in with Dagger and Jackhammer.
Yeah, and he was in the turret.
There's a little plot twist. I still really want to sit down and almost novelize our script in a way where it's more of a fan fiction story, or just like a regular novel. And at some point I'm going to try to do that, just so everybody can kind of get the whole concept of it. And maybe I will. Maybe if we finally get the
go or no go on this movie,
the no go on the movie that is dead again, maybe that'll be enough motivation for me to do something like that. But there's a lot of things I want everybody to see about the characters, and even Gory, what really wasn't him being in the original plan, and we went back and rewrote him in. I think we
did, because we were trying to figure out how they would make that connection of now what, how does Venom operate? How do they operate as the bad guys? And like we said, they're the ones that stole most of the original plans. The only one that I think came out alive was
Spectrum.
The Spectrum, Mask, and Condor. Condor was one that we kept.
Yep.
It was a like a separate thing that never got to be put into production, I guess, is how we worded it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we get to see first of M.A.S.K, when M.A.S.K is being that
you're gonna get me motivated to go do that.
I want to do it too, dude. So I want to get on that. Maybe we'll spend the next 3 years doing this back and forth like we did.
No, it's not gonna be 3 years. We're gonna be in it solid, and we're gonna have to put everything on hold again and just get it done. But
no more. We discovered the ages are agents of M.A.S.K.
It would probably take that. All right, let's get on to our other commenter here,
Yeah.
Decker.
We got Decker. I always liked this episode as a kid. I think a lot of it had to do with my family being quilters. Also, having Outlaw and Volcano didn't hurt. Besides Rhino and Firecracker, those were my favorite vehicles. Forgot to mention that I love the twist at the end that Venom got the treasure, but they were Confederate dollars and worthless. Good point. You know, that was actually fun because they're thinking they're going to get something, and he finally gets his hands on it, and then it's nothing.
So. Yeah, I mean, I understand that little twist there, but still, they should have known ahead of time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
I'll be looking forward. We might be actually putting a novel together.
Yeah, right. I'm actually looking forward to the next episode because I did sneak ahead a little bit just to get a bit better synopsis of the episode than what was on Wikipedia. But the next episode is episode 54, Fog on Boulder Hill. And Venom is after an old woman who is hiding counterfeit money printing plates. And in the process of looking for her, they run into M.A.S.K and even boldly attack Boulder Hill to try and capture her. So we have that to look forward to in the next episode. And this is one, it might be the last one. Well, there was only a few. I think Anna said at the very beginning, once we got that first attack on Boulder Hill, it was like episode 8 or something when Venom actually attacks it and we see all the moving parts and everything. And we've seen Boulder Hill, I think, a couple times maybe since then, but there's only a few episodes where we get to see it in all of its glory. And the next one is going to be that where we see the gun at the top and we, get the full interaction with Boulder Hill, and you see Buddy, in his mechanic gear, working at Boulder Hill.
Right.
I'm hoping this one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this one a lot better than the one we reviewed tonight. But we'll see how the story goes about in this counterfeit money, printing plates. That seemed to be a plot that came up in a lot of 80s TV shows. Just somebody printing counterfeit money and going after plate. They even used that in the A-Team remake. Now that I think about it,
yeah, they did.
That was one of the main plot points there to make them when they get taken down by the government and get on the run and get in jail. Behind those printing plates.
The Dukes.
Yeah, see,
the very first couple episodes, and then they used it later on. It was a granny down in her basement making $5 bills.
Yeah, that seems to be transcending the 80s there in the counterfeit money. But anyway, all right, that should be fun. We're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to bringing that to you a lot sooner than whatever the last time we recorded was several months ago. Probably for, I think did we do a RetroCon? I think we did with Bill. We did a wrap up. That was probably our last episode. But anyway, we will definitely speak to you again before RetroCon in September. We promise you that. And we'll I want to keep going. I want to get through these 65 episodes and get to the racing series, which I don't remember ever going through episode by episode. So that is upcoming. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. I hope you can go back and listen to the previous episodes, even though we haven't been releasing them on a regular basis. I still will go back and do that once in a while. I'll try to find one that we reviewed that I know was good, or that I try to stay away, obviously, from Panda Power and some of those other ones that I wouldn't recommend. And I might just maybe we'll just make this episode available for about a week and then take it down. But no, we'll leave it up. We'll leave it up so everybody can know. Stay away from Patchwork Puzzle. But anyway, that's a quick thank you, and go back and explore our whole catalog. We've done some actor interviews and interviews with fans and just everything along the way. Reviewed this, some of the comic books and It's just been a really fun ride over the last, like, what, gosh, 5-6 years now.
I think about closer to 6 now. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, it's been a long time, but yeah, let's keep it fresh. Let's keep it rolling here in 2019, man.
I agree. Thank you again for watching and listening to us. For Agents of M.A.S.K, thank you for staying with us for all this time that we've been slightly absent. I go back and listen to our MASKast. I go back and listen to Rediscover the 80s and all that. Because I'm partial to it because we've done it, so I like hearing our voices. But it's fun. I like reliving what we've done, reliving our past, even if it is M.A.S.K. Really enjoy it. So again, we welcome you again to look over Agents of M.A.S.K from the beginning, meet the hosts to current. And until next time, on behalf of Jason, I'm Wyatt, and thanks for watching and listening to MASKast.
And thank you, YouTubers out there watching us. We like we said, we were going to try to get back on track here. We say that every time, but I really want to do it. Wyatt's got some major things coming up in his life, so we probably will have to take a hiatus for a while as he gets adjusted to adding some members to his family.
We have twins on the way, so that might take up some more of my time. But I'm trying to. I want to aim for something. We keep saying this. I keep saying this. We seem to fall flat somehow in some way or fashion. But like a Saturday night, one week we do Rediscovered. The next week we do MASKast. The next week we do Memory
Jogger.
Memory Jogger. Another one. I've started a podcast. It's straightly an inspirational podcast. If some of you follow me, I do a Servant WB inspiration for the day. It's just usually either a Bible verse or some kind of inspirational line. All I do is expand on it, what it means to me, and that's it. It doesn't mean I don't make it anything lengthy by any chance, but that's what I want to work on. That's our next adventure in the immediate future. Our later thing down the road is perhaps put together our own radio station. So that's a longer term endeavor, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we will. I've actually been considering doing a music podcast. I don't think in with Rediscover the 80s, but I'm huge into the, like, what a lot of people call retro wave, synth wave, dream wave, lots of waves types of music. Basically new music that sounds old. It sounds like it came straight out of the 80s. I've been a fan of that music for a long time. A few artists in particular, but I want to put together almost a countdown show or something, new releases that come out each month. And I've actually been in contact with a record label on doing something like that and getting access to their artists and the new music that comes out. And there's not really a good place there's not like a chart somewhere to see who's the popular artist and what's going on. There's a lot of good accounts that there's one on YouTube that will pull in new music, and there's like SoundCloud is great for independent artists like that to find music, and some of it you can download for free. Spotify, you can find retro wave playlists and stuff like that. But I've had this concept. I really haven't even told you, Wyatt, about trying to do something like that and just do a little half-hour show, maybe a little bit longer, and showcase 10 songs every month. Something like that. New music. People are then into that retro wave style. So I've been dabbling into that and trying to put that together, what it's going to be called and where I'm going to pull the music from each month. So we'll see if that happens. I'm not sure. I have all these endeavors. I'm so guilty of being caught up in the moment and get so focused on trying to put something together. I get it done, and then I usually let it fall flat. So recurrent events. So
you did pretty well with that for quite a while.
Yeah, it's so hard to be motivated to administer several different websites, podcasts, and everything that I really want to do, and still have a full-time job and make money so my family doesn't starve. I don't know. I wish I could find $3 million in the ground in my backyard, and then I could just quit my job and do everything that I want to do throughout the day. That's not Confederate money, but I do live in the South, so I'm probably screwed if I do find $3 million in the backyard.
There might be collectors out there that might pay you like a penny or something, you know, just saying.
Anyway, all that to say, we are still very intrigued and motivated to talk about M.A.S.K and review episodes. So we'll keep pushing forward with that. And thank you for watching, and we're going to get on out of here.
Yep. See ya. Thank you.